morning. It's a Sunday and you're seeing Lost in the Pond on a Sunday. What's that all about? Well, a new feature is happening, and that feature is Ask a Brit, as you can see from the title. And what is Ask a Brit all about? Well, it's pretty simple. It's you take a Brit, me, and you ask him questions. Now, obviously, since I'm launching this today, I don't have any sort of lined up that was specifically for this, but I did take some questions that have been asked of me over the last week in the YouTube comments, and I'm going to respond to those today. But moving forward, what I want you guys to do is, if you want a question answered, any question at all, you can ask me anything you like, you know, within reason, and I'll answer it. Now, there's a caveat here, because in order for me to be able to see your question in the comments and to demarcate that from sort of regular questions, I need you to use a hashtag. So we're going to get all 21st century here and use the hashtag Ask A Brit. So that's pound Ask A Brit. Write that in the comments beneath this video and indeed any video going forward, and I will see about including your question in this questions video every Sunday morning. Now, I can't guarantee that everyone will be in there. Unfortunately, we do get quite a lot of questions here. I say unfortunately, that's a great thing, but it means that there probably won't be room for everybody's questions, but for the best ones. So make sure yours is the best and it'll be in there. I mean, I'm the judge here. So let's go ahead with some questions. And like I said, I didn't have these lined up in advance, so I didn't have too many to choose from, but I'm going to go back in time throughout the last week. So the first question on today's list is from James Harris. James, hello. We've spoken many a time before. And he asks, what did you think of Forest Park? And I had to think for a moment whether I'd even been to Forest Park. It's not referring to Forest Park that's sort of just on the outskirts of Chicago, but I think, James, you mean Forest Park in St. Louis, and I believe I've been there actually. And when I went there, I had a picnic in a park and apparently interacted with some homeless people. Been there, thought it was nice. Thought St. Louis on the whole was very nice, and can't wait to go back. In fact, a little fun fact: we are doing that on Memorial Day weekend. We will be doing a Finding America video from St. Louis, so stay tuned for that. So, next question. Oh, I've got to get used to this. I'm going to flick these on as we go. So this next question comes from a rather bizarre name, the name of URTYP, who asks, what about the Tetons? Tetons. So what about the Tetons? And this question comes specifically on my national parks video in relation to the national parks that I want to visit. The Tetons was not one of those national parks, but just like the rest of the national parks in the United States, of course, I want to visit. And I believe they're up there in the Rockies, aren't they? The Wyoming area. It's an area I want to visit. I have been to the Rockies in general. I was in Denver, or just outside of Denver, Colorado, and I could see them around me, but not the Tetons. I will get there someday. I will take that rock climbing gear and I will fall to my death. That's not true, I hope. What on earth? So Silvana Dill asks, so you were exposed to the Yogi Bear Yellowstone deal as a kid, but no Bugs Bunny Yosemite Sam. I did that in the last video, mispronouncing Yosemite. I watched Bugs Bunny as a kid. I don't remember the character Yosemite Sam. You don't? No, I wasn't a fanatic. I was more of a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles man myself. Hero Turtles in England. But yeah, I don't remember a character. It probably sounds really sad that I don't remember this Yosemite Sam character. He was a short thing guy with red hair, I think, and a beard and mustache, and sounds unsavory. A gigantic hat and two. Was he Scottish? Two pistols. Then he would run around and be angry at everyone. Here's an interesting one. Fun fact. Did you know the granite in Yosemite is radioactive? That comes from Rob Norris. In fact, Rob later went on to clarify that all granite is radioactive. So you've really got to be careful of those kitchen work surfaces. We could be dying without knowing it. Oh, this is a good one. This comes from IB Stevie B. In fact, this has been asked of me before, IB Stevie B, but not by you, by somebody else. That, shouldn't your channel be titled something like Lost Over the Pond? After all, you are not lost in the pond, not lost in the middle of the Atlantic. But as I explained to IB Stevie B on YouTube this week, the name actually goes back a bit further before I was doing these videos. It was more back in the days when I was sort of concentrating on blog posts that dealt with differences between British and American English. In other words, those things that got lost in translation, lost in the pond, the Atlantic between us. It was a clever name back in the day. Now people just think that I don't think things through. Oh, speaking of those British-American differences, you can still check out all of that information at my website at lostinthepond.com. We are in the process of just restructuring the site right now, so if you go over there and check it out, you should be able to actually use it, because for a while there, the navigation on it was poor. Next question comes from Zialander63, who asks, I know your vlog is about this side of the pond, as in America, but how about some tips on visiting must-see sites on the other side of the pond? Very good question, and in fact, if you look back over at some of the previous videos, I have covered quite a bit about various aspects of life in the UK and various areas of the UK that are among my favourites. It is something that I want to try to incorporate more into the videos going forward, so not just a focus on America, but of course right now I'm trying to find America, so that's where a lot of the focus is going. But there will be some more things around that, so in the future I will cover more about London. I feel like, having lived there, I need to tell you all about that, and just how proud I am of the North. I'm a northerner. We heard a song the other day about the North, didn't we? North of England, and I want to give a big shout out to that. There'll be more videos coming, is what I'm saying. This is a good question. We get this one a lot. This one specifically came from Lucy Wilkinson, who asked, how easy was it to get a visa and what was the cost? It was actually quite challenging to do, because you have to go through mountains and mountains of paperwork and affidavits and things of that nature. At least in my case, because I'm here on a marriage visa, or at least was, and now I've got an extended residency. But you had to prove the legitimacy of that marriage firstly, and send in all manner of sort of photographs, clean ones, nothing dirty, and also paperwork, marriage certificates, bills saying that yes, we cohabited at this address and that kind of thing. And you have to fill out a number of forms and all of that. It's rather bureaucratic in many ways, but that's just government for you, isn't it? Just generally, and it was a long process. I was not approved for, it was a good 9 months. I could have had a baby in that time. Not biologically, I'm a man.
It was also very expensive.
But that's what I was coming to,
every step.
Yeah, well, it was expensive. I mean, after we were done, you're talking in the region of thousands and thousands of dollars. I can't recall exactly how much, and it's possibly gone up by now, I don't know. But yeah, an expensive, time-consuming process, but I would say at this point, well worth the money and well worth the wait. Yeah, exactly. Those first 9 months, it was kind of interesting because I was in America, but I couldn't legally work yet. So I just had to sort of sit there and just look at stuff. So I watched Americans, not in a creepy way, just I people watched. Yeah, and so, bear that in mind. If you are in the country and you're waiting on your residency, know that the time period for it, at least if it's the marriage one, is a good 9 months. I get asked a lot actually on this. How do I come to live in the United States? How can I apply for a visa? How can I do all this? It's not so easy for me to answer it. I mean, mine was specifically because I married an American, but there are other situations that can actually get you here. There's, you can come here as a student, you can be sponsored by a company and all of that stuff. That's not stuff that I have any familiarity with. I've not sat down and researched it. But, if you are interested and you want to know more about what kind of forms might actually be relevant to you, go to the website of USCIS. And you can actually look at all of their immigration forms on there, and you can learn about costs, you can learn about the type of forms, and whether you are eligible or ineligible. This question comes from Die CG, somebody who really doesn't like modern day film technology by the sounds of it, but he or she asks, have ya, Y-A, yet been to Arizona? Sadly, I have not yet, but it is one of those places that's high on my bucket list, and not least because, of course, it includes the Grand Canyon. It also includes that massive hole in the ground. You know, I'm not talking about Phoenix, I do mean a massive hole in the ground, which was put there by a meteorite, but we also have friends in Arizona too, Ali and Rick, if you're watching, hello, who we would like to see as well. So Arizona is definitely high on the bucket list, and it's just, you know, it looks like a very beautiful place too, so just in general. So we'll be going there. Just be patient, is what I'm saying. Goodness me.
Yeah, CG hater.
Yeah, and he's not alone, he or she is not alone. I've been asked millions of times, have you been to the Grand Canyon? Have you been to Arizona? No, not yet, but I'll get there. I can't bloody wait. Next question. Fellow Chicagolanders, do you want an easier way to travel across the city than... no, that's spam. That is a spam question. Wow, you're hilarious. How are you not over 1 million subscribers? Oh, I'm just happy to have over 1 subscriber. But to answer your question, I don't know. It's a mystery. We'll get there together.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends. Tell them to come see my chat. Spread the word. You know, if you want me to have 1 million subscribers, and I must say, Danny, you're not alone. All right, this is one of my most frequently asked questions. Why don't you have 1 billion, 1 trillion subscribers? Because there aren't 1 trillion people in the world.
It's nice to have who we have.
No, it is, and I very much appreciate the people who do follow me regularly, and no doubt they'll be asking questions here in the comments, and it's great interacting with those that have been around for a long time. We just want more. We're greedy. So we're aiming for 1 million by August. Alright, that is it for this first episode of Ask a Brit, and if you would like to ask me any question you like I said, leave a comment below with the hashtag #AskABrit and leave your question alongside that. It's falling. Hey, help me up. And yes, join me throughout the week. I'll have a couple more videos coming out, and of course next Sunday we'll have the next episode of Ask a Brit. They're going to be every Sunday morning, so get your questions in so that I can answer them to the best of my ability, you know, unless they are about things that I either don't care about or have no knowledge on. And even if I have no knowledge on them, I'll look them up, you know, unless it's really dirty. So good, get those in and have a great weekend. Well, it's almost over, but still, bye.